They took me to court over access to land that belongs to me. That's where it began. A certified envelope, thick with papers and full of arrogance, accusing me of unauthorized commercial use of what they call their private roadway. Their roadway, the same strip of gravel my grandfather laid down back in 1962. According to the lawsuit, I was damaging community infrastructure, violating HOA bylaws, and interfering with shared access rights. The problem? I don't live in their subdivision. I never agreed to their rules. But that didn't stop them. At their next board meeting, the president stood confidently at the front of the clubhouse, addressing 84 homeowners, claiming they were protecting property values from a non-compliant neighbor. She even smiled when she said my name. What she didn't know, what none of them realized, was that the only legal entrance to their entire subdivision sat on my deed. And that was her biggest mistake. I'm a third-generation landowner. My family has held those 2,500 acres for more than 70 years. Cattle, timber, and long stretches of fence line that answer only to time and weather, not trends or property values. My grandfather bought the original parcel in 1956. My father expanded it piece by piece. I grew up fixing barbed wire, clearing brush, and learned the land by walking it, not by reading brochures. We paid every tax bill. We maintained every culvert. We graded the gravel road that runs across the southern edge of the property, the same road they now claim belongs to them. That road existed decades before anyone imagined a subdivision with matching mailboxes and seasonal wreath rules. I don't interfere with neighbors. I don't attend meetings. I don't tell anyone what color to paint their shutters. My father always said, if it's written, it matters. Titles, surveys, deeds, paper outlasts opinions. For 70 years, that understanding was enough. Then the developers showed up. The subdivision went up fast. One year it was open pasture along my southern fence. The next, it was stone entry markers, decorative lanterns, and a billboard advertising luxury, living with exclusive private access. That exclusive private access road was my gravel strip, 60 feet wide, running exactly 1,200 feet from the county highway to what became their gated entrance. It had always been part of my deed, never sold, never transferred, never tied to any easement. At first, I ignored it. New neighbors waved as they drove by. I nodded back. No issues. Then the sign appeared. Willow Creek Private Road. A week later, a letter from the HOA arrived, a notice of shared infrastructure responsibility. They expected me to contribute to maintenance costs. According to them, I was benefiting from community improvements. What they didn't realize was that I had already checked the county plat. Every document, every filing. There was no transfer. 2 weeks later, the first fine arrived. $300 for heavy equipment usage. Apparently, my tractor, the same one I'd driven across that gravel for 20 years, was now considered commercial disruption. Then came another notice. Damage to community road surface. Then a third. Failure to comply with neighborhood standards. I don't live in their neighborhood. I responded once, calmly. I attached a copy of my deed and the original survey. No emotion, no commentary, just documentation. That's when they escalated. A letter from their attorney claimed prescriptive easement rights through continuous use. They hinted at placing a lien if I refused to cooperate with shared maintenance costs. Meanwhile, at their monthly meeting, the board president described me as an uncooperative adjacent landowner unwilling to compromise. She made it sound like I was a problem. Then they filed a lawsuit, formally claiming ownership of the road. That was the moment everything changed. The night their attorney's letter arrived, I didn't argue. I went to filing cabinet in my study and pulled out the original 1958 deed. The paper was yellowed, but the county seal was still clear. Then I placed the most recent certified survey beside it. Line by line, parcel by parcel, they said the same thing. No recorded easement, no right-of-way transfer, no shared maintenance agreement. That 60-foot corridor from the highway to their stone entrance. Fee simple ownership. Mine, free and clear. Then I reviewed the subdivision plat they filed when Willow Creek was approved. Buried in the notes was a single line, access pending recorded easement. Pending. It was never finalized. never recorded, never executed. They built 84 homes, assuming the paperwork would catch up. They didn't realize that without that strip of land, the entire subdivision had no legal access to a public road. No access meant no deliveries, no emergency services, no resale value. I didn't feel angry. I felt certain. Instead of reacting, I prepared. I didn't send angry emails. I didn't argue at the mailbox. I contacted property attorney 2 counties over, the kind who reads plats for sport. We met quietly. I brought the deed, the survey, the subdivision filings. He read everything twice, leaned back, and said, "They built a subdivision on assumed access." I ordered a fresh boundary survey. Steel pins in the ground. GPS confirmed, no ambiguity. I documented every letter they sent, every fine, every accusation, dates, times, certified receipts. And I stopped being generous. For years, I had allowed neighbors to pass freely. No gates, no restrictions. That ended. Access continued temporarily, but only because I hadn't decided otherwise. My attorney laid out the options clearly. I could gate the entrance. I could demand a recorded easement at market value. I could deny access entirely until a lawsuit was withdrawn. All legal, all enforceable. The HOA grew louder. More letters, more threats. But I wasn't interested in revenge. I was interested in leverage. Then they scheduled a public board meeting to update the community on the lawsuit. The clubhouse was packed. Folding chairs lined the walls. 84 homeowners, restless and curious, waiting for reassurance. The board president stood at the front, calm and composed. She spoke about protecting community assets and defending shared infrastructure. She described me as an uncooperative neighbor exploiting a technicality. She promised a lawsuit would be resolved quickly and cleanly. Polite applause followed. Then I stood up. No raised voice. No anger. Just a folder in my hand. "I'd like to clarify something," I said as I walked to front. I handed copies to the board members first, then to a few homeowners in the front row. Recorded deed, county plat, certified survey map, a written legal opinion from my attorney. "The road you're suing me over is legally mine," I said evenly, "and without a recorded easement. None of you have legal access to a public highway." Silence settled over the room. You could feel the shift. The board's attorney flipped through the documents, slower with each page. He asked for the plat reference number, checked it online, then checked again. Finally, he cleared his throat. "There is no recorded easement." Murmurs turned into sharp whispers. Phones came out. Eyes shifted toward the board. That's when the panic began. And that's when she tried to pivot. The meeting dissolved into controlled chaos. The board president called for a brief executive session. 20 minutes later, they invited me into a side room. The tone had changed. No accusations. No speeches about community standards. They wanted a solution. I gave them 3 options. First, a retroactive, permanently recorded easement purchased at current market value for commercial-grade access. Second, an annual access and maintenance fee indexed to inflation. Third, immediate withdrawal of the lawsuit and full reimbursement of my legal costs. Otherwise, I would gate the entrance in 30 days. No threats, just a timeline. Within weeks, the homeowners called an emergency vote. The board president was removed. The HOA's insurance refused coverage, citing administrative negligence. They settled for 6 figures for the easement. Every dollar of my legal fees reimbursed. She tried to fine me $300. It cost them over $100,000. And that was just the beginning. The new board signed the easement properly. It's recorded now, clean, legal, paid for. I installed a formal access agreement and clear boundary markers. No confusion. No assumptions. Now things are civil, quiet, the way neighbors should be. I never wanted control over their subdivision. I only wanted control over what was mine. They thought authority came from a title on a board roster. It doesn't. It comes from documentation. Knowing exactly what you own and being able to prove it when it matters. There's a difference between living next to land and actually owning it. If you've ever dealt with an HOA that forgot that line, share your story. And if you appreciate situations where preparation beats ego, like and subscribe before you challenge someone's property. Make sure you know exactly what's written on their deed.